Hello, team, and welcome to our seasonal review. This season, we focused on little words with big impacts, and we're going to be going over them. If you want to see a more detailed explanation, I've also included the specific episodes where I go into each word separately. But here we go. I actually miscounted my episodes this season, so you will get your review together with your test. Yes, I know everybody hates a test, but trust me, this one will be fine. So, like always, like I think it's a common theme in my classes, we will be talking about stories. This guy, master storyteller, but we are waiting on book three. We've been waiting for many years. Yes, we are still waiting, Mr. Patrick Rothfuss. I expect you to finish this series. So we have a quick introduction here and our warm up. Remember, I prepared these PDFs for my actual students, so I gave them this one, which was to prepare the story before class. But it will be your test, and we will be using the three pillars that we often talk about, which is A, what is recent in your life, B, what you know, what's familiar, and C, what you like. So before we get into your test, let's do a quick little review. The first word we saw, which was present throughout this season, was get. And it's a flexible word. And what I don't like about it is if you go online, you will see too many things to memorize. 50 explanations, 5 explanations, and 40 phrasal verbs. And I don't like that. And I prefer to kind of introduce the theme, the core of get. And it's one of two things. So if I say that I got this bottle. Maybe I bought it online. Maybe I picked it up off the table. Maybe Patricia gave it to me. Maybe Lise brought it from the other room. But with get, you will have some type of connotation of acquiring something. You have something that you didn't before. And the second connotation, just as important, and maybe a little bit more complex, is that get can be related to a transition. So, it's ridiculously hot here in Belo Horizonte. It has gotten hot. I can say that it is hot from the beginning to the end of the idea. Woof, woo, where's the fan? But if I say that it is getting hot, it has gotten hot. It got hot the other day. There's a transition from less to more hot. Hotter, of course, but just for the example. And this transition is present in a lot of the different uses of get, especially the phrasal use. If I get up, I transition from being sitting to standing. If I get home, I was outside, now I'm inside. Get in the car, you're out, now you're in. If you get sick, this might be both. You acquire a cough and you transition from being healthy to sick. So at the core of the uses of get, it will either have to do with acquiring or a transition. Number two, make and do. And I have found that this is a problem for my Brazilian students. The first way of interpreting it is that make is for creation, do is for performance, or the execution of an action. But letter B was actually presented to me by one of my students, Mr. Marcos Monteiro. It's how he separates make from do, and I really liked it. I think it makes a lot of sense. So that make has something new at the end of the action. It's not. So if you, like in the example, if you make a cake, there's a cake that was there, that was not. But if you said that you are doing the cooking, that you did the cooking, that image, that mental image, you don't have a finished product. So I really liked it. I'm going to be including it in my explanations, my future explanations. So thank you, Mr. Marcos, and congratulations to our new father. But number three, if. If it's a word that everybody knows what it is used for our conditionals, but in English we have four. I don't know about other languages. In English we have four. And the first one, simple with simple, it is for facts. If I run, I get tired, whether it's today, tomorrow, the other day, whenever. If I run, I get tired. Number two, if I run, I will get tired. By adding the will, you're saying that this is a possible future. Can you use going to? Yes. But I just chose will to make the examples more clear. Now, number three, and this is where I see most of the confusion. If you're talking about a hypothetical situation, what do I mean by hypothetical? For grammar purposes, hypothetical is not true now. Why? I can say that if I studied law, I would be a lawyer. It's not impossible. I could study law, but I have not studied law, so I am not a lawyer. But it can also be something completely crazy, like if I were an animal, I would be a wolf. Wolves are cool. I cannot be a wolf, at least not with modern technology. So it can be possible or impossible, does not matter, but it cannot be true now. And with this, you need to use the past tense here. This is where I usually see the mistake. People will use the present. And here, would. Would get, would do, would play. You can use could or should depending on the example, but usually it would be would. Last up, this one sometimes gets confused with number 3. This is for a situation that did not happen. What do I mean by this? When you give the condition, for example, if I had run, you can kind of answer sarcastically, but you didn't. If I had studied, but you did not. If I had stayed home, but you didn't, you went out. You know, if I had married Daisy, but you did not. And all of these examples, you should be able to sarcastically answer, you did not. And this is the test between number 3, the hypothetical, and a past that did not happen. Next up, in, on, and at. These are the most difficult. I think in is a little bit more easier to understand. It's inside something bigger. So if I am in my apartment, you imagine me, and then you imagine the apartment around me. If I am at my apartment, even though it's a pretty big apartment, you imagine it kind of as a point. If I take this book and I throw it at the wall, now it's a big wall, but I'm treating it like a point. I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the screen. I'm treating them kind of as a small point. So in and at are opposites. Now on is the troublesome one. I have not reached my last level of on explanation, I feel. One of these years I will have a more complete version. But what I can tell you is that on, we often associate with being on top. For example, this pen is on the book, but it actually has more to do with contact. For example, the stickers are on the book, so it does not really have to be on top. Specify on top, it does. But on has more to do with contact than with being on top. That's just gravity. But also on, you will see it has a lot to do with something that is in progress, something with a beginning and an end in its phrasal uses. I still want a better explanation for this. I am sorry. But when we're talking about time and place, which are the main ones, on you can think of as either one day for time, on Monday, on September 25th, on my birthday, and since we live in a capitalist world, you know, the weekends, it counts as one day as well on the weekends. And if you're talking about a location, a place, you can think of on like a line. I live on the 3rd floor. I live on Juvenal dos Santos. So on will be the street. We do not have a specific point on it, but it is on that line. Last up, we saw there. And there, it's a problem for my Brazilian students. Sometimes they will want to use have. So remember, if you are describing something, you will use there together with the appropriate form of to be. There is, there were, there have been. It does not matter. If you are trying to start a sentence with have, check if you are not either making a command like have more water, which is rare, or more commonly if you're asking a question. Have you been to China? Have you watched the new One Piece anime? All right. And your test. So this is the part that I did not tell you. So I asked you guys to tell 3 stories, a tri-story test. But I would like you to include these little words that we saw in this season. So we have 8 of them here, right there. But I would like you to use at least 5 in each of your stories. It's the way to practice. You want to master these words, you have to use them. So that is your test. If you tell any good stories, send them my way. I would love to hear them. Conversation starters, let me see. Have you seen the live action One Piece series? Yes, I have. And congratulations to everybody involved. It is the best anime adaptation I have I've seen. I don't know how the actors managed to be like anime characters, but they did an amazing job. I'm excited for season 2, and by the amount of episodes the anime has, we will be seeing them for many seasons, many seasons. Let me see what's left. What did the pirate get on his exams? Horrible joke, but it's for the One Piece theme. Answers at the bottom. And last up, your challenge, your last season goal. So we have about 100 days till Christmas, and those um, end of the year parties, those last minute uh, tasks that appear can throw you off track. So my challenge for you is to arrive prepared with your last English goal of the season. Now, these classes, I make them for you guys. They are a little bit generic. I can't make one for each of you. I try to make them so that you can adapt them to your reality, but it is always important to have a personal goal so that you can see your progress. For me, what I teach is English, but what I practice, but it's the gym. And um, last year, I was not really measuring anything specific. I was just kind of going, and I was not seeing progress. As soon as I set a specific goal, I was able to see the results in 2-3 weeks. So, guys, it is important. More specific, the better. There is no silly goal, whatever it is that is more applicable to you. Maybe you want to be able to. I have a student who wants to be able to play Elden Ring. I've heard it has an amazing story. It was written by George Martin, and he wants to be able to play it without just kind of going through the text, the dialogue. He wants to be able to understand it. I'm another student who he has kind of a script that he prepares for his interviews. So he wants to be able to know what to say, not memorize what to say. Whatever it is that you find appropriate, bring it. All right, team, thank you, and I hope to see you in class.